My name is Brian and thank you so much for joining me today. Got a lot to cover tonight. We're going to pretty much go over, you want me to run how far? That's the topic of my discussion tonight. So what's going to happen tonight is I got 7 different steps I'm going to cover with everyone tonight. It's going to help you to start running again, whether you are a seasoned runner might be coming back from an injury, or maybe you just haven't done any running since you were kind of in high school, or even, it's just one of those things that you just didn't like. So while we're waiting for a couple more people to join on, I want you to start thinking about when was the last time that you had, if you could think about somebody that maybe put a negative thought about how running, you just dislike running. Because I think back to the time in high school where I had those PE coaches, and I actually became a PE teacher myself, that actually was forcing you to run that extra lap or that lap that you just didn't want to do, and you just had a hatred for it. You're just like, I just don't want to run anymore. I just didn't like it again. So think about that, because I'm going to get back to that a little bit later on. At the end, we're going to kind of open up for discussion tonight. So let me do a little bit of introduction, or the welcome, start off, and I'll kind of tie in the introduction. So welcome so much to the topic tonight that I have. I am actually Brian Garrido, and I have been an avid runner for, I remember back when I did my first running race. It was a lollipop race, and I was 5 years old, and my brothers took me to it because my parents were home doing something else, and I came back with this huge lollipop in my hand. That's why they call it the lollipop race. And it was simple enough, just a little lollipop that I ran around the track, and I had, of course, a sugar high later on as I did it. But from that point of running, that's not really what kicked it in, though. A lot of times people say, where did you start running? Why did you start running? Those kind of things that were happening. All right, so where I was for me personally, running became more of an avenue for me when I had my father that decided he wanted to run a marathon. So out of the blue, my dad decided he wanted to run a marathon. All right, so now this is a father of mine that he wore a business suit, went to work every morning, really didn't know what he was doing at work, but when he came back home each time, he said, I'm going to go run somewhere. And he started running this marathon. And I remember vividly going to his first marathon where it was just 2 half marathon loops. I saw him at the start, I saw him on the other side of the road, I saw him when he came back to the start again, and I saw him on the other side of the road, and I saw him at the finish. And that was what I vividly remember him doing it 2 times. So doing that marathon made me think, well, maybe I enjoy doing the running. Maybe I should be doing the running also. So when you start thinking about getting steps to help you start running again, it was just getting steps for me to start running. So what I'd like to share tonight is giving you those different steps to kind of get you back into running, making it a positive experience for you as you're going through this experience together. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm actually Brian Garrido, and I've been an avid runner for about 40 years, everywhere from the 5Ks all the way up to now 100-milers. I'm an ultra runner that run on trails. I have a 100-mile race scheduled for this coming Friday called Hellbender 100, and it runs to the top of Mount Mitchell in North Carolina, highest point, 6,600 feet in elevation. I have actually been married for 26 years to my wife, Jennifer. We have 4 children, Riley, Lauren, Ariane, and Felicity. I have 2 in college, and I have 2 at home with us. And the funny thing about it is that we actually currently live full-time in an RV. So we moved from North Carolina area, and we're now living out in Virginia Beach area. So having that transition, going from some sort of mountains to flat, you have to challenge in your training. I'm also a plant-based runner, plant-based in the sense of about 5 years ago we went plant-based. It took pretty much all meat out of my diet, dairy, really watch what I eat, and my recovery has changed drastically as I've gone through that training process. I'm 48 years old, and I recover pretty quickly. Like I mentioned, avid runner, been through the big marathons, Boston Marathon, New York City Marathon, lots of years of training and running. And that's why I'm here this evening, to kind of share my experiences as a coach. I'm a certified RRCA running coach. I do coach virtually. I also coach in person. If anyone is interested in information, because I'm part of a group called FitFx Global, which I'll share a little bit more about the end of the time that we have tonight. about how we are coming up with a race, a 5K My Way race, a virtual race. You can kind of go through that. But FitFx Global, we are an international health and fitness coaching company. We have well-known, experienced, knowledgeable coaches worldwide in different specialties, providing the very best both virtually and live coaching for what it has to offer. So the great thing about it is I have this opportunity to not only share what FitFx Global is, but also I have the opportunity to share my expertise to kind of work with everybody else. On to this now. So you want to look at you want to run how far? How far are you going to run? You know, getting those steps. So pretty much the first thing you want to look at is start where you are. Where are you right now in your own personal life? You know, if you're coming off of an injury and you remember that, oh, I used to run 10 miles and I had no problem running the 10 miles, and now you're coming off that injury and you're excited to kind of go through this, but you can't really put yourself out there because you're going to re-injure yourself again. Or maybe it's one of those things that maybe you've never done any running before. So what I'm going to do to help you remember all these different things is I'm going to correspond the topic of what I have here also with things that I use for running. So what I have first are the running shoes. When I say well, start where you are, you need the running shoes. If you're going to start doing something, you need the running shoes to start going somewhere with something. And you're asking, you want me to run how far? Well, you have to pretty much set it up yourself of how far you want to go. The easiest thing is just start moving. Just walking. A lot of us go out and we walk our dogs. You know, we walk to the local park. We take our kids to the park, or you just might go out on your own and walking your own dog, and you're thinking, can I do that? Can I even run? Should I be able to do this? So you start looking at the amount of time you're going to set out when you start doing, you know, where you are. Can you do 15 to 20 minutes 3 times a week? Now, within that 15 to 20 minutes, it could be just looking at time. Don't worry about how far you run. I know the topic of this, you know, you want me to run how far, but rethinking this through, you're starting to think about, can I actually go for 20 minutes as a simple walk? Those kind of things. And when you do this, you start building your endurance slowly but surely, you know, going out for a walk. And then you change it up a little bit, adding walking for 5 minutes. And then after walking for 5 minutes, maybe you're going to go do 30 seconds of an easy jog and then walk for about a minute. And then you might do that 6 times and then walk when you're done. And when you're all said and done, you've already been outside for 60 minutes or for 20 minutes doing that repetition and starting it that way. So for me personally, the hardest thing of starting where I was or where I need to be is when I got injured personally. I've been doing a number of years of injuries, and I went from running on a trail to running on a road. I did a challenge race where I had to run the same loop over and over again. Now I finished the race, but then when I drove home after the race, my legs started swelling up, and I actually had it in edema where actually the fluid went into the muscle tissue, and I could barely move. I really thought I tore something, and I was really freaking out about it. Went for the MRI, everything else. Thankfully, it was just a simple thing. But even as an avid runner, you start getting that worry. I'm like, oh, can I do this? So I had to start all over again from scratch and say, where was I at that point in time? What can I do at that time? Because a lot of it comes to a pride issue, an ego issue. Is that, oh, I'm so used to doing that, I'll be fine. And that's kind of thinking that the glory days in high school, when you used to do different things in high school, and that changes. You know, you have to look at where you are right now. May not be able to do things. As I got older, I had to rethink how I'm going to run. My stride isn't as long as it used to be. I have shortened stride. The turnover. I also went from road running into trail running. So by changing from road running to trail running, I changed some of the pounding on my body that I was getting as I was doing it over and over again. So as we go through this and you start thinking about, well, start where you are. You're starting like, where am I in right now and what do I want to be doing? So you're asking us question. The next question you want to ask, so number 2 now, is focus on one goal. Create one goal. So I was starting thinking, what piece of running equipment can I do to focus on something? So I thought, wow, what better thing to have than sunglasses? There we go. All right, so it makes everything rosy now. But I have these sunglasses on that I use for my runs. And it does change the focus of especially when the lenses I'm wearing right now brighten up everything a little bit. But you ask your question, focus on one goal. What do you want to do? What is that one goal that you want to do? Think about don't let your ego or your pride settle into something. If you say, I want to do that first 5K, I want to do that, you hear the terminology, the couch to 5K. Can I do that? How am I going to go about doing that? I really want to do it. So it starts with that one goal. So that one goal that you're going to do, write it down. Write down that one goal, that one thing you want to do. And that's kind of what happens when you do this, is that you write the one goal down, and it's okay just to have one. My goal was to run a 100-mile race. Now you're thinking, Bryan, that's crazy. I'd never do a 100-mile race. So when I focused on that one goal, I had to do a lot of training. I had to really commit to early runs in the morning, late runs at night. I really had to go through a lot of different training. I sacrificed a little bit of time with my family, but they're very understanding. They were really appreciative, and they were supporting me by doing that. So by wearing the glasses and focusing on the goal, I had my shoes ready to go. So I'm preparing myself for that run, those runs. I got my shoes ready to go. Starting where I am right now. You want me to run how far? Yep, I'm going to try to set a goal to do a 5K, a 10K. Maybe you're already an avid runner that's coming off the injury, or maybe you're not coming off an injury, you just want to increase your speed. So you're going to do a 5K in maybe 30 minutes. It's starting somewhere, creating that goal, because then you have something attainable to go after now when you have that goal. You have something to kind of go after. Now it fits in the next part of this, where it's going to be the accountability. That's probably the hardest one there. Now for accountability, I got a hat. Got my hat on. I have my Run North Carolina hat, and it's actually a flatland over there that way. So I needed to get to know you. People started to get to know me based upon what I was doing. I just started running trails, going all over the place, and just meeting different people on the trail. I was trying to figure out, where am I going to find someone to run with? How can I have accountability from somebody if I'm going to run with somebody? I want to do my first 5K. My neighbor I saw going down the street, I wonder if she'd run with me. Oh, she's too fast for me. I'm not going to run with that person. That is probably one of the hardest things as a runner, person who is running, who wants to meet with a person who wants to learn how to run. They see you running up and down the street, and they're intimidated by approaching that person because they think, I'm going to be too slow for them. I don't want to run with that person. That's probably the negative thing. I would be more than happy to run with other people if they'd be willing to do it. I just changed my training schedule. That's kind of what happens. So looking for a partner to run with. I want to kind of give some suggestions on this. So by looking for a partner, look online for running groups. You can look for different running groups. They're all over the place. There's meetup groups all over the place. Also, you can go to your local running store, going into a specialty running store that you might have in your neighborhood. REI is, surprisingly enough, you walk in, they'll have a board there saying, here's our running groups, here's our meetup groups that we're having it. Also, another place to really meet people who are in the runner's mindset is actually at volunteering at races. There are so many races in the area that you can volunteer at, that you can meet people. You can kind of go through with them and saying, hey, I run here, I run there, where do you run? And you get all this information, and it's hard because accountability, you just got to start. But you don't want to get out in the morning. Maybe it's raining. You're like, I don't want to get up today. It's raining. I'm too tired to do this. I don't want. Just start. Just start thinking about it. Thinking about who can help you. Who can help you get started. Maybe it is going to your local gym and finding a coach. And we also here at FitXF Global, we have a lot of coaches that could help getting started. That's actually what I do for FitXF Global, is I do coach and help people through different programs. So we're looking at that right now with the accountability. So we have 3 steps we've gone through, starting where you are, focus on one goal, and then accountability. So we're going to move on to the next phase that we have here. You're saying, well, Bryan, I don't want to run just in my neighborhood. I want to mix it up. So you're looking at your running routes. You're running your routes, your routine, your running workouts. So I'm thinking, how can I use a piece of equipment that can make me remember how to do this? Well, I'm pulling out one of these things. Now, unfortunately, this changed into the COVID mask due to when COVID was coming around. But it's actually a neck gaiter. And the great thing about the neck gaiters is they're so interchangeable. You can use them multiple ways. They slide right over your neck. You can put them in this way. When it really was cold out, this is why you would wear them. And at the same time, you can take that exact same neck gaiter, slide it up around your head here, I know I'm doing this one by one here. Bring this up, and what happens when I be running my races or things, I put my hat over this, and then I have not to worry about different things as I'm kind of going through it. But let's just change back to that. I'm very outgoing as we go through it. But the great thing about the neck gaiter, it's interchangeable. Changing it around, I could wear it, bring it up as a headband. Women can use it for a ponytail holder. You can use a sweatband as you're doing it this way. But I'm talking about the running routes that you're going to do. Why do you have to run in your neighborhood if you feel it's boring? Drive to your local park. Go to that local park and maybe find the local trail in the area. You'd be surprised what's hiding in your neighborhood when you start looking around. There could be those hidden trails that are there. You could also go in the mall at first. I know I see a lot of people early in the morning that walk around the mall. Start somewhere walking in the mall if you can, taking an easy walk, brisk walk, taking it up to a faster pace. But starting it, changing up your running routines. Starting with learning about intervals, learning about tempo runs, fartlek runs, recovery runs, long runs. There's a lot of different things that you can explore. I went exploring one time to a local park. I was just trying to find something, and I was like, mountain biking trail. What is that all about? I went to a local park. It was a mountain biking trail, but actually it was a walking, hiking / mountain biking trail where the courses went different ways. And what ended up happening is I went into this trail, and as I zigzagged through the trail, I was stuck on a 4-mile loop that I could see where the exit was, but it kept taking me in and out and in and out and looping around. So the biggest thing you want to ask is, where do you want to run? Where would you feel most comfortable to start running? Because some people will say, I don't feel comfortable running in my neighborhood. I don't think I can do it here. Well, could you meet up with somebody else in another location and maybe running out over there, or maybe finding another local park, or maybe just going to a soccer field and going around the outside of the soccer field, a local track at a high school area. There's a lot of different options that are out there. We just can't keep making excuses. So the biggest thing is trying to find that accountability person to help encourage you to think, you know what, I'll meet you out over here, or I'll do this. Maybe take your dog out there with you, and you're going to go for a simple walk around a different area. It's going through that and attacking it as best as you can. So with that said, moving into the next one, after you're saying, all right, I want to start running again, I want to do this, I want to commit to this, well, why not commit to it publicly? That you're going on and you're going on social media and you're starting to tell people, hey, I'm going to run a 5K. If you set a goal saying, I'm going to run a 5K, that person's like, that's great. Which one are you going to do? Which 5K do you want to do? That's fantastic. You'd be surprised by the support that you're going to get from your family, from your friends, your coworkers, other runners that you might interact and meet with. You just never know who you're going to come across when you do these events. Especially when you go volunteering. I went to a volunteer event when we moved to Virginia Beach. I did a 24-hour challenge that I was volunteering at, so I was there from 7 o'clock at night to 1 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of things change when it starts getting later at night. People get silly and giggly. But the great thing is that people started talking about where they're running, and they ask you questions where you're going to go, and you got that support. So what I wanted to share here is support is actually my vest, because my running vest supports everything that I need when I go out for my runs. It carries my water, it carries my cell phone, it carries extra batteries if I need it, it carries my headlamp, anything that I'm going to be needing. I have this vest on there, whether it is my running vest or my handheld water bottle that I have. These are two different things that can help you to support you when you're sharing your journey. So that's the biggest thing, is what are you going to do? So you said, I want to start doing this. So what are you going to do? If you're committing something publicly to some people, they want to know about your journey. Share your journey. Share what you're doing. My personal thing for my journey and my family is I will share on Instagram the photos of places I've been. Because there's certain trails that I go to that it could take you 2 hours just to get to an area of an open lake, and you're kind of going up the mountain or around a corner area, and it's just this up and down and round about. So I'll just take pictures of things. And I've shared a picture with my family the other day in Virginia Beach, and I sent a picture saying, look at this huge crab. Well, in all honesty, the crab was actually just kind of the size of a quarter, but I took a close-up photo of it, and it was neat because I get to share what I was doing, and then you get those comments back to the family, and it kind of encourages having them there with you, seeing your family members, commenting on different things, and also people will encourage you, giving you encouraging words as you're going through those different things that you have. So let's go through this here. All right. Sorry, just checking the comments as we're going through this, making sure I'm not missing anything. So finally, what we have here is, I know I have 2 more to go, but we've committed it. What are you going to do? So let's keep track of what you're doing. Keeping track of what you're doing, why not share this? And we kind of mentioned about why not sharing it with other people, using your Instagram, using Twitter, going on Facebook and sharing your experiences. But you can also journal it yourself using a running log, writing things down like I did this today. Because the more that you can write it down and keeping track of it, the more you kind of will go back to it and keeping that habit. The other thing that people will do is they'll watch. So the watch is the next piece of equipment here. These watches that you have nowadays, they track everything. I mean, you can buy different watches from Garmin to Chorus to you have your Polar watches, and they track everything. But when you decide to start going out and doing your running, you don't need a fancy watch. You need to do something to keep track of your time. And that time is all you need. You need to just put a little bit of time. Can you put away 30 minutes of a day to say, I'm going to go for an easy jog out, and I'm going to start doing this for 30 minutes. I'm going to do it 3 times a week. And as you do this, celebrate your progress. Celebrate what you've been doing. Share it with other people. Saying, hey, I got to do a 30-mile run, or not 30 miles, 30-minute run. I'm doing a 30-mile run. But I know people have posted their Strava accounts and show it on there. If you do Strava accounts or share those kind of postings, other people were saying, oh yeah, we did this run too. I see it all the time. People have their picture on there, and behind them you see distance and how far they traveled and things like that. I don't share a lot of that me personally. I share my photos so people can get experience. Oh, here's what he did. You know, this is what Bryan did this weekend, or where were you? And they ask these questions, and that's how you interact with other runners. And that's kind of what I've been doing, is how I've gotten to meet other runners throughout my time of running. Well, they'll say, I'm going to be at this race. I'm going to connect here. Let's meet up. Those kind of things. So we've kept track. So recapping everything, we've kind of starting where we were. You want to know how far I've run. Focus on one goal, but what do you want to do? So think about, what do you want to do? Accountability. Who can help you? So who can help you through this journey as you're going through this? Running routes. You know, where do you want to run? How can you mix it up? How can you make it different this time? Maybe you go to a local football stadium, if you have one nearby, and you run the stairs going up it, and then you walk down and you come down to the track. There's a lot of different opportunities there. Committing publicly to what you're going to do. You know, what are you going to do in that thing? Keeping track of what you're not going, or what you are doing. You know, why not share what you're doing? So we've kind of run through the things. We've had our shoes, our sunglasses, our hat, our neck gaiter. We've kind of gone through everything. So finally going through this, you're looking at it, what's next? So now that I've said all these different things that we have, what's next for us? You know, what is really the next thing? What works for you? That's where it always has to start. What works for your schedule? What works for you? And you'll kind of work around it. That's what coaches are for. We're here to help coach you around your work schedule, to try to make it best for you in different things, giving you those skills and those techniques to be able to do different runs at the same time, such as warming up, our stretching, strength training, foam rolls. You know, you think about a runner, oh my goodness, we don't stretch, we just start going. So Tina asks, when you're running a long distance, do you camp out? Is there a goal of how many miles per day? Okay, so running trails, do you wear special shoes? So I'm going to go through this really quickly. Yes, I'm going to show all that, Tina, at the very end. I'm going to show the different shoes, and I'm going to kind of discuss on there. Comments kind of pop up, things like that. So what's next working for you is you're looking at getting proper training or the tools that you need in order to do the events, such as you're warming up. You know, what should I be doing before I go out for my run? What type of stretches should I be doing? Because I always get that pain like right above my knee, or I get that pain right in my calf area, and I don't know why I have this stitch on the side, or I really don't know what to eat, or what should I be drinking? How far, you know, what should I be, do I have to go get one of these vests that you're wearing, Bryan? Do I have to do these other things? You don't need all the fancy bells and whistles. You just, I think the number one thing going through right now is actually going to be your running shoes. Because the running shoes, as I look through it, like I'm pulling out my Brooks shoes here. If you look at the bottom of my shoes here, it has a wear on there. So when you go to a specialty running store, they're going to look at, you know, they're going to say, bring your running shoe with you. So you can actually look at the running shoes and saying, oh, is this person an overpronator? Are they an underpronator? Do they need stability shoes? Do they need motion control shoes? Do they need to have the neutral shoes, and they're going to kind of go, and you're like, what was that? I have no idea what you're talking about. We're looking at how your foot lands. So does it go this way? Does it go that way? Does it kind of stay where it is? That plays a huge role in how you start running, because if you're running the wrong way and your foot's hitting in an awkward position, it can just create more of an injury. So you want to make sure you get those proper shoes. If I can advise, that number one thing you want to kind of go into. Now you're looking at trail shoes versus road running shoes. Well, trail shoes have, I'll pull up those shoes. Trail shoes more have a lot of the grooves on it. Okay, that might have a steel plate in the middle to kind of protect upon rocks. They'll also have more of a drop on it. Your road running shoes will be a lot more lightweight, maybe not as heavy duty as a trail shoe. But the great thing about it is that the stability that you're going to get from a trail shoe, put my shoe back on so I can balance here, is really going to help out on the trail runs, and also learning how to do a trail run. So I'll come back another time and do another Facebook Live talking primarily just on the trail runs as we kind of go through it, because running on different terrains, it can be a little intimidating wanting to do a trail run, but it's not that bad. Actually, as you're not pounding as much on your feet as you're going through that. So I'd like to kind of go over one more thing, and then I'll go to the comment section, because I'm going to make sure I want to answer any questions that anybody has about this. Is that FitXF Global, we are actually doing a virtual 5K My Way. So the 5K My Way is actually going to be on June 11th. And on June 11th, there's two options right now that we have. For $10, you're just entering in the 5K My Way. For just $10, you're entering in, and you're saying you're committing that you're going to be doing that. For $35, if you do that, it actually would get you then a t-shirt. So you'd be getting, for $35, you get the t-shirt, and you're entering in to run the virtual 5K race. And you can do the 5K My Way anyway. You can walk it. You can do it as Stacy Wiggs on here somewhere in beast mode, doing your stairs and your climbs. You can do it on a kayak, a canoe. You can do it on a bike. You can do swimming. It's 5K your way, or even running it, an easy jog. On the trail, any way that works best for you, it's 5K your way. And there's also another option for additional $29. You can actually get a customized running plan. It's a 4-week training session program. It includes a run schedule, stretching routines, functional strength workouts, and bodyweight strength routines. And it's actually set up to start on May 14th, doing an entire month of for your workouts, including in there for the beginner, for the intermediate, and the advanced. If you want to do a faster 5K as opposed to you just starting straight off the bat, starting from the very beginning phase, it gives you those options to look at. Okay, I'm going to do this routine, and you start on whatever day works for you. Start this day, rest this day. We'll have some cross training in there, where the cross training could be yoga, could be anything from cycling, could just be an easy swim. But setting up something that you're saying, I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to commit to that, and I'm going to have some other friends doing it. There may be another virtual race or another race in your neighborhood, in your area, that you can really get involved in. But volunteering I always think volunteering is great. As a runner, when you go to volunteer, you get to cheer on other people, you get to support them, and you're meeting other runners. And it also gives you that motivation to saying, I think I can do that. Because you see other runners doing it at the same time. You see them going out there, and you're like, you know what? I can do that. I think I can do a 5K. And you're like, you know what? I think I can do a 10K. Hey, I'm going to try to do a half marathon. I'm going to do a marathon. I don't know. Maybe I'll do the 100-miler. You got to start somewhere. It's just getting out and doing that. And that's kind of what happens with when you're starting to start running. You just have to look at those 6 different things that we kind of went through. Start where you are. Focus on that one goal. Have the accountability. Find those running route that works for you. Commit publicly. Keep track of what you are doing. Share what you're doing. That's what's next. It's just trying it out there. And then as you try it, you experiment, you learn. I haven't figured out how to use all the equipment all the time. I had to kind of experiment what works best. Can I use this when it's hot? There's lots of different things that you can be doing. So I'm going to slide down over here, look at the comments, see what we have over here. All right, so Tina, trails, do you wear a special shoe? Yep, I think I covered that over there on things. Yep, I will get that just a second here, sliding down. All right, great, awesome stuff. So Tina, thank you so much for coming on here. Do wear a special shoe? Yes, I do wear the shoes, as kind of said, and I talked about that a little bit, and I'm running long distances. 100 miles. Do I camp out? I do not. What happens is I actually have a little bit of mix of caffeine in one of my powder drinks that I have. I use Tailwind nutrition drinks, endurance fuels, and that has a little bit of the caffeine that's inside of it. It's just, you just want to keep moving. You just keep going through. There are some people that take a nap, and I've known some people over the past that they've actually fallen asleep while they're doing their races. And it's unfortunate that they fall asleep because then they wake up, because a lot of times these 100-mile races, you have a cutoff time that you want to do. All right, and the bleachers, yep, Stacy's going to the bleachers. Bleachers are always fun. They are always fun. All right, so one other thing is we'll be posting a link about if interested, you can just email Stacy at fitxfglobal.com and she will send you the link. Okay, I think I got everything else in there. Any other comments going through? Because I don't want to miss anybody's comments. If you have any questions or things about it, but I think what some people will ask is, the hats that I wear are actually just a breathable trucker hat. It's just a running hat, instead of the heavier weight on there. The sunglasses that I have are actually Gooder lenses. And you'll see a lot of the runners going through this. What distances do you think a person needs to take fuel for doing? All right, so taking fuel. A lot of times when you are taking in fuel, it's going to depend upon how your body feels. It's going to be, I always say that we are the guinea pigs when we start going out and running. You start figuring out, okay, I went out for 30 minutes and I was really dehydrated. I needed a little bit of water, drinking that kind of stuff like that. So you have to start looking at, I can advertise, Tailwind nutrition. There's Scratch out there. There's Gator that's out there. It pretty much comes down to the electrolytes. What are you losing in your body when you're working out? What's the temperature when you're going outside? Is it hot? Is it cold? Drinking a little bit of fluid here, taking little sips, because I know some people who've actually gone running and after like 10 minutes they try to drink the water and they just throw it back up again because they just can't handle it. So you're going to have to be really thinking about, all right, can I go for about 10 minutes, take a little bit of sips of water, go another 10 more minutes, take a little bit more water, seeing how your body will feel, but making sure you're watching that. I always say my wife calls it, when I have all the white on my face from just the sweat, the snow I get on my face. My kids always say, Daddy, you look like you have some snow on my face, because you're losing that sodium in your body there. So what happens is you want to make sure you're monitoring what you're doing. For me, and for a lot of other runners, it's usually when you go about 45 minutes to an hour of time, that's when you're really looking at replenishing those electrolytes, those things that you're losing out. There's a lot of different supplements that are out there, but trial and error is going to be best. Can you actually take food? That's a whole nother discussion. I mean, I could discuss this for all, and that's the thing you discuss when you go to these volunteers, when you're volunteering at different races. Everyone will talk about what works for them, and you just have to try it the best that you can, trial and error, and different things. That's all I have. I mean, I wanted to make sure I introduced myself, Bryan Garrido. I'm with FitXF Global. I'm also a certified running coach. If you have any other questions, you can message me on Facebook. I'd be more than happy to go through it. I'm Trail Running Papa on Instagram. You'll see my posts and my pictures that are out there of all the journeys I had. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day, and I'm so glad you joined me, and you all take care. All right, bye now.